Welcome to a new episode of the Bandwagon podcast. And today is a bit of a unique one. So it's the first time I've actually got two guests at the same time. So normally I have a lot of trouble just to get one, but today I thought I'd just make it even worse for myself and get two. Um, it's really important that you kind of listen to every part of the stories that are going to be told in this one. It's very close to my heart, and especially obviously with the guests that involved. So I'd like to introduce to you Ricky Cheema and Sonny Bains. Welcome, lads.
Thank you.
Thanks for having
Appreciate
me.
you being on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know this is probably a bit different to the environment that we normally meet. Well, yeah, I can see Ricky's drinking something already, but normally it's normally a beer. So that's a good plug right there.
Yes, yeah, start the week as you mean to go on, Ricky.
I've gone the Ronaldo route. I've gone for tea, man. I pushed the beer away, coke away.
Yeah. So, how have you guys been anyway? In general, it's been quite a while since we've all managed to be in the same room. I think the last time we were together was actually on Seek Channel a
Yeah.
few years back here.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, going well, mate. I mean, obviously we've COVID related, but things are loosening up a bit, and like get to see people again. And we're all social animals, so the more people we get to see, the better we feel.
And Sonny, how's it been for you? Especially, I know you got shopkeeper's life.
That's it. Yeah. To be honest, it's been crazy busy. Probably, from a business of view, yeah, it's great. But from a lifestyle point of view, man, I'm sick and tired of working right now.
Has it given the shop more energy? The corner shop, and it's that
Yeah,
whole
big
industry
time,
just
big
boomed up.
time. Yeah, it has. Yeah, massively. It's, to be honest, it's nice to see as well. Like, kind of, it was, when it all kind of started, this COVID stuff, and where there was like silly queues outside the supermarkets, and that kind of funneled into us little small stores. But it's nice to see now where things are starting to calm down. A lot of the customers are still staying and shopping local and stuff. So it's nice to have that support, really. So it is good.
That'll be all right then. So we know where to go and get a mixie now, and who's paying for it now. All right, so I want to get kind of straight into it as well on this bit. So we know each other in separate kind of relationships as well. Me and Ricky went to school together, and then Sonny, we've known you through work as well, and we worked together at one stage, and through football as well.
Yeah.
But one of the key areas that sort of where you came to kind of social media light and in prominent was around your son Gaurav. So for those people who don't know necessarily the story, can you just give us a little bit of an update? A bit of a background into the story of Gaurav.
Yeah. So when Gaurav was a little baby, when he's born, he was always picking up infections, kind of pretty much since the day he was born. He had issues. He'd born. There was complications with his birth anyway, which was not to do with this, but so he's always lived how you can say, like a hospital type life. He was there for about 5-6 weeks till he could come home, and then just from there he'd always get ill. Like any kind of common cold, cough, infection going, he'd just get it, and we'd pretty much be in and out. He'd be on all kinds of antibiotics, and it took us, I'd say, it probably started, say, from about, 6 months old onwards. So it took us to nearly a year until we kind of knew what was happening. We'd just been in and out of hospital all the time. He'd get like a temperature that's gone through the roof, getting antibiotics, and kind of things would be looking better. 10 days later, bam, same thing again. And winters is worse than summers, naturally. Like, I think that's with everyone. And then, we got... that we was at Russell's Law Hospital at the time when all this was happening, and then we got referred to the Birmingham Children's Hospital. I remember sitting there with the wife, and we're in the in the ward with like where all the other cancer patients and the kids with leukemia. But never ever did I think we're here for this reason. You just can't look around and think, look, all the people suffering. Look at this. Luckily, I was kind of assuming they're just going to give us, I don't know, some kind of tablets and say, right, this is what it is, take these and job done. And then when we got told he's got a bone marrow deficiency, it's called monosomy 7 syndrome. It's like, kind of blew you away because you don't expect to hear it.
How
You
old
don't
was
expect
Gaurav?
it to be you. He was at the time. He was going to be 2.
So it's like from you
yeah.
experienced this like literally from like birth and as he's getting
Yeah,
older and
pretty
older,
much.
older.
Yeah. So he's pretty much spent, like say, 9 to 12 months of just fighting infection after infection, but we didn't know what it was then. It was kind of, we'd be like kind of, you get a massive spike in temperature, kind of something to go wrong, we'd be off to hospital, been there for a few days, come back, and you just kind of assume, oh, you just got a weak immune system, as he grows older, he'll get stronger kind of thing. But we never knew the immune system side of things was obviously something more serious, which happened to be this with the bone marrow. But basically, his white blood cells, he wasn't producing any, so that was causing all the infections, and his white blood cells weren't being produced because of obviously bone marrow deficiency.
So when the doctors came up to you with this with the diagnosis at that point, you know, what were the options that they were saying at the time? Because obviously it's not something that you're going to hear as well. We've got kids as young kids as well, and it isn't something that's common that you're going to be hearing. You're going to hear infection, flu, you'll hear some other stuff, but when you get a bombshell like that, how was that kind of like told and your reaction?
Well, when they explained to us what it was, obviously we didn't know what it was, so the condition he had was called monosomy 7 syndrome. What he meant is, the chromosomes we have in our body. So you have so many chromosomes. He was missing one, and it was a key one, which helps kind of create white blood cells and help you fight off, infections, diseases, and whatnot. Basically, long story short, what they said to us was, with this condition, what it means is by the time he gets to early childhood, like 4 or 5 years old, anything like that, he's going to develop leukemia. So at the time he hadn't had leukemia, but they could foresee it, and they said from patients before and stuff like that, the chances of him fighting and beating that is pretty much like not going to happen. Basically, not 2 options, but what they said is if we leave it as it is and you kind of say, right, no thanks to a bone marrow transplant, we're not going to go down that route, what will happen is by the time he gets to 4 or 5, he's going to develop leukemia. Then it'll be a case of, he goes through treatment trying to fight that. But what they were saying is the treatment he'd have it highly likely wasn't going to work. So they said your only option is to have a bone marrow transplant now. So where normally like children or obviously develop, depending on what type of condition they've got, you have chemotherapy first, and with other cancers, you'll have chemotherapy, you kind of hope that beats it. But they were saying with him, chemotherapy, it was highly likely it was not going to work. It normally a bone marrow transplant's like the last resort, but we had to go straight to that step. So it was like kind of everything else you had to skip and just go straight to the last kind of chance saloon in a way.
So what year are we talking about here then, Sonny?
So then, so what is it? He's 10 now. So it was, you asked me years, how many years?
No, about 2009, 2010.
It was, what's it called? What we now? 2021. I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. It's crazy. It's absolutely mental. Yeah. It was
2012, wasn't it?
Yeah,
2012.
Yeah. So Ricky, I mean, your relationship with with the stem cell journey, we'll come back from Sonny. I'm trying to kind of tell this story kind of synchronized as much as I can. So your involvement with Anthony Nolan and just in the wider stem cell charities is well known now. It's becoming forefront, and you're an active face of it, which is fantastic work. How did your journey start into it?
My journey started out just understanding that someone had blood cancer. A friend of mine, their mum had blood cancer, and they were doing not these swabs that you have now. They were trying to get blood donations to see whether anyone was a match in a Godola down Croydon. And your natural instinct is, I want to try and help. I'll go down and sign up. So I travelled to Croydon from Birmingham just to give a blood sample with a friend of mine. To be honest, when I did it, I just did it. I had no idea what I was doing. Like, you know, in my mind, it was just go, you know, see if you're a match and whatever. So I joined the register, and that was it, to be honest. I didn't think of anything more, you know, being honest about it. It's only a few years later when I got a letter in the post to say I could be a possible match for somebody. That's when it got a little bit serious. And then I started thinking, well, what is it that I've signed up for? Right? You know, I remember a couple of years ago what it was, but not now. Mm. So then I started understanding a bit about blood cancer and leukemia, and as Sonny was just talking about, white blood cells, and that it's the white blood cells that stop working around the body, and they need that a kickstart, if you like, through a donor. Again, in around time, I had no idea, but you know, talking to people, not many people knew him. When I donated my bone marrow, it was about 2009. I donated, and there wasn't much literature, there wasn't much information about. But I just cracked on with it anyway because I just thought, well, if it can help somebody, whatever. And then the information you get at the time was that, you know, it comes out your hip, or you're out of action for about 3 or 4 months, and all these type of stuff. And like, to be honest, maybe because I was so young and naive, I just thought, so what? If I'm out for about 2 or 3 months, you know, if it saves someone's life, I'll crack on with it. And it's only when a friend of my mum was actually, I told him because I was a bit worried about it as well, because there was some information that I did like to hear. Like he said, you know, there's some bad side effects, but these are all myths that we'll talk about later. Because I know, Ricky, you've done exactly the same thing as me. If anything, I've done the easier version. You've done more difficult. But a friend of mine, a friend of my mum was once said, I heard you're a match for somebody. I was like, yeah, I don't know about it. Like, you know, whether I should go ahead. He says, you know what? That's like winning a lottery ticket. And I never looked at it like that. I said, what do you mean? He says, not many people get the opportunity to save somebody's life. You've been given the opportunity. You know, there shouldn't be no question. And when I started looking at it like that, I thought, yeah, there isn't a question. So I got myself down to London. Going back a step, I was a match for somebody in the end because they did not blood samples. And I went to the doctor to check as well. And I'd done what is called the stem cell procedure. Yeah. So there's 2 methods to donate your bone marrow. The one where you do it the way I've done it, and there's the one the way you've done it, Rick. But the way I did it was the easy way, which is called stem cell harvest, where they run a tube through each of your wrists, right? So 2 clear tubes, and they run it through like this machine. It almost looks like one of those old school like video tape recorder ones where you just one wheel's going one way, one's going the other. What it is, that your blood is being run through this body through this machine 5 times over, and it's extracting all the plasma out of your blood, right? So he's extracting that, and that's the stuff that the person suffering from leukemia or white blood cancer is suffering from. Then they'll need that. So I did all that. Cut long story short, it took about 4 hours, and they said, right, you're fine, you're done. They said, just go home, rest for about 4 or 5 days because you might have like flu-like symptoms. But you know what? Again, being the youngster I was, and I just thought, you know what? I feel all right. I ended up going back to the lads' house, playing Pro Evo, having a few beers, and then next day I played for Wonderbolts in a match, and I felt nothing, right? And it feels weird because I did all that, and I felt nothing, and I got loads of praise of people saying, "Wow, what a great thing you did." And I was kind of embarrassed by it all initially. You know, I felt good afterwards, but because the procedure was so easy, it didn't feel like I'd done anything for it. Like, you know, you just sat on the bed and you just went on. That's kind of how it felt. And I was getting like, you saved someone's life, this, that. And it's funny because off the back of that, because I felt like, well, I didn't really earn this praise. So I ran a marathon for Nolan just to make myself feel better that, you know, I've done something worthy. And obviously I know now that what I did was very worthy. You know, it's the most worthy cause to save somebody's life. But that's kind of what my journey was. And I was lucky enough to do it again in 2021. Well, this year in January. So not only have I done it once, I've done it twice, and they gave me a T-shirt, for the efforts.
Twice, yeah, smashing it. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, we'll come to the procedures and that a little bit later. So, Sonny, like, obviously, Ricky's just given us a good summary in terms of like how he got involved and was it a successful match? What were the obstacles that you were facing back then? Now with Gaurav, so they've identified the issue. What was the challenges that were being faced?
Ricky was mentioning you don't realise what you've done, how massive it is, because it felt like didn't feel like a big thing, but the way Ricky's explaining. But on the other side of that table, I'm looking at and I'm thinking what you've done, both you guys, is huge, because like us and the other families, the people you guys are donated to, we're sitting in that, in hospital, like we're watching Gaurav day after day, week after week, after months, just in pain, and there's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do to help. We're waiting for this transplant, and so it's huge what you guys have done. It's like kind of you've taken that pain away. Something me as a father I couldn't do for my own son, that his donor has done. It's like a forever bond, something that can never be kind of repaid.
Yeah, I think I'm going to move the conversation along and start crying really. So sorry. So when you were trying to find the match, at that point, what was the statistics that was happening, and what was your first move?
Well, I know this. I can't remember the numbers. I can't really tell you that so much now. You may know better than myself, but there was slim. They told us, especially for Asian people as well, the chances of finding a match are even more slim due to the amount of people that joined the register in the first place. And so with us, we was just told through the hospital, Gaurav's specialist at the time was saying, right, we'll start searching the databases that are created like by Anthony Nolan and DKMS and the NHS also as well. And because as soon as the match is found, we'll let you know. And they gave us the information for Anthony Nolan to say, look, if you want to contact these guys for any more information support, because we was asking what can we do, and they kind of mentioned about, well, if you want to try and encourage people to join, and obviously they said immediate family will come in and get tested anyway, and then from there, basically what happened with myself, after having obviously the initial breakdown, getting home and kind of trying to pull myself back together, I just remember mentioning it on Twitter. This is the way I remember it, just kind of mentioning what's happening, and somehow it kind of, that tweet got out there, and there was one guy who always comes to mind, Harinder Singh. He's a crazy Liverpool fan on Twitter as well. Kind of reached out to me. I didn't know who he was at the time, and he kind of started tweeting other people. I mean, I didn't have much experience with Twitter either. I weren't massive in terms of social media. Don't really do a lot of it now either, but kind of
that's true.
Here and there, yeah. I just can't, yeah. But yeah, he started reaching out to people. Basically, done a lot of the stuff, a lot of the legwork. So it weren't so much what me and my wife was doing. It was more what kind of new friends we made, strangers coming together, like yourself, Ricky. I bet you'll remember we done a drive at Smelly Godwater, and that was all through you. You set that up for us. You got that rolling. You got the dates and organising the event and everything else. I didn't do any of that. We was lost. We was kind of without you guys, and without, like I say, friends and friends of friends and people that we didn't know at the time that now are friends. We didn't know what to do. It was the community and the public and everyone else who helped us. Without all you guys, like I say, genuinely, we was lost. None of that would have happened.
Yeah, I mean, like, just going back to the time and just kind of setting the scene, I think Twitter was a little bit of a different place, yeah, and like kind of brown Twitter was more unified rather than any of these, rather than the arguments that are happening. And then I remember seeing this, and I couldn't compute it in my head. I couldn't understand how what this was happening, and there was just something in me saying like, you got to do something. And I think I wasn't even aware of Ricky, what he was doing even at that time, because I think there's just a failure or anything in it where people are doing good things. You kind of taught not to kind of brag about it really as well, and it's more kind of.
I knew nothing about this, like, I mean, Ricky, like you said, already joined the stem cell register, and he'd already donated and stuff. I actually knew nothing about it, whether if that was being a bit, kind of wrapped up in your own world without kind of realizing what you can do for others. But in terms of, I'd heard of, about leukemia, I'd heard of bone marrow transplants and stuff, and that was about it. What my kind of thought about it was a bone marrow transplant sounds like, I'm going to be given like an actual organ out of my body to someone, and that's about as much as I knew about it.
Thing is, with stuff like that, it's a difficult one because we can't. I mean, as we get older, we have a better understanding of things. So we can't expect people to know everything about, whether it be blood cancer, or whether it be, just cancer in general, or any other type of deficiencies of what's, you only understand it once it happens so close to you, or people of you that you know of. And that's, I mean, for example, me, I had no clue about anything until it happened to a friend's mom of mine. That I knew of, that I had no clue. So it's only when you get exposed to these type of things, and when we do, we have the options to, well, for us as outsiders, not directly affected, to either ignore it or actually do something about it. And it's we're lucky in that sense in the as a community, that once we are exposed to something and understand something. So, for example, with something that, like, with your son Gaurav, like, you saw the whole community understand that, hold on, what is this? What's going on? This shouldn't be happening to such a young child. We need to be getting everybody onto the register. I mean, you talk about Smith Godda, but Sonny, I remember, at the tournaments, I was going into every single changing room. When they were getting changed, whilst they were showering, I was getting in there and saying, wait, all of you know about this situation, get outside and join the register. And every single footballer I've come across, bear in mind, that was the catchment. It was 16 to 30-year-old males, because, apparently males carry more blood and they're better possible match. I was getting them out of the changing rooms and just getting them out and, like, getting all swapped up and stuff. But it wasn't just me. You said you got Harindi, you got Basra, you've got so many different people. There's the guys up in Hitchin as well. There's so many that got together behind this cause. But, going back to the original thing is, I don't think anyone should feel any type of guilt or feeling of, like, not knowing. It's just that we just not exposed to certain things. There's so many things that I'm unaware of that are affecting people right now, maybe close to me. But as soon as you are, you make yourself aware, don't you?
I think Gaurav's one was like a pinch point in one sense, because we're all similar ages. We all gonna have kids at that age as well now, and you can start seeing this could be my kid. So I remember, like, I have to shout out, it was Anka Shergill, that's Preet Gill's brother, at Smedic. So when I found out from, like, Sonny, I was like, I'll never forget this conversation, because I was like, Sonny, like, what we gonna do? Like, who do we need to contact? And he was like, he goes, look, man, he goes, I don't have that much reach in the upper the Desi scene in it. So he goes, like, what can we do? Just pull it together. And I'll always remember this for, like, the stupid reasons. Like, we set up the drive got set up on at Smedi, and I didn't realize that you couldn't have prashad before, otherwise it could affect the sample as well. So then we had to kind of, like, stop it. And then I in my own, like, in my own selfish way, I just got overwhelmed. It was like the first time, like, I think it was one of the most successful things I've ever done in my life. To, like, and then I just couldn't handle being there. I had to say to Sonny, I go, Sonny, I think I made some bullshit excuse. I think all I remember was Man United were playing either Stoke or Sunderland. We weren't winning, so I was really pissed off as well. So I was just like, I've got to go. I can't. I didn't see it right in, but I knew it was successful. And then it was getting mirrored in all of the Gordare and stuff, and the football scene was kind of like kicking off. And then I think it was like really positive that everyone was starting to join this whole thing. And I think it was just that perfect storm of coming together. So then, like, suddenly, like when everything, like as people were kind of jumping onto the members list, how soon
Yeah.
after did you start? Was it getting worse for Gaurav and then it happened, or what? How soon did it happen?
Well, we was told, I think it was around April, May time, we was told like the situation, what needs to happen, find a bone marrow transplant and the rest. And so it was during that summer where all, people started to come together and registering and all that. But we was told basically by, I think it's around November, we was told if we can't find a match by then, I was a 50% match to Gaurav. So what we would have gone ahead with the transplant around November onwards anyway. So we was kind of given that date, said, look, we've got a few months here. We'll try and find a match and the rest of it. And if not, then the kind of the backup, the fail safe was we'll use me. And, obviously a 50% match compared to like a 100% match or something is, it's a massive difference, isn't it? And it is if someone told you for anyone, for a friend, family, would you rather have a 50% match or 100%? You're going to want 100% all the time, or as close to. So yeah, that's where we was at. So it was a case of, we did actually have, we never really actually spoke about it, but I think it was about July, August time, we was told there was a match found from America. And so like we was over the moon, told the family and stuff, yeah, sorted, we got one. And they actually dropped out for whatever reason we've never been told, but then they decided against it. So kind of that was crushing at the time as well, thinking, you found someone and then to be told actually no, that it's not going ahead no more. So yeah, so there was kind of, in terms of emotionally, there was ups and downs as well beforehand as well. So
what was the impact on the kind of wider, like before you go into that, what was the impact onto the wider family? Because obviously, like you and your wife are like kind of focused in this situation, and the collateral is like obviously it's going to be a lot wider.
Yeah, of course. I mean, obviously everyone wants to, kind of help in any way they can. What can we do? We'll come and donate and stuff like that. But unfortunately, weren't as easy as that. It's not like, just giving blood, like here's my blood. There has to be so many kind of so many things that to make it a perfect match. But in terms of people helping, yeah, everyone kind of, they're supported in their own way. They offered, like for example, like I say, we've got a shop, and in terms of work, work never ends with a shop. It's all the time. And so, my folks had to do a lot more in terms of working, because I was spending a lot more time out the shop. One, looking after Gaurav and taking him to appointments and stuff, but at the same time trying to set up these drives with friends, like yourself and everyone else, and trying to attend them and try and do as much as we can there. So yeah, so the family kind of helping out, like I say, like that work wise. Some people are in a situation where they can't afford to take time off work, because unfortunately you still got to pay the bills, and families, we're not the only family going through this situation. But I was in a lucky position where I could afford to take that time off, because people was there to cover me, to cover my shifts and cover my work. So yeah, everyone helped in their own ways. And plus, not just that, the volunteering, when you talk about these events, like you say, the football tournaments, at the Gurdwara, so many different places, Nishgam Centre in Handsworth, there's so many places. I mean, the amount of volunteers, it's one of them. No one got paid to kind of go out there and try and get people to come and join the register and take their swabs and this and that. People done it through the goodness of their own heart. So people have helped like in any way they could, which was obviously massive for us.
I think it's a really important statistic that I didn't realize when I got cleared into the next stage, was that at the point of donation, two out of three people actually drop out. So it's like, it's really, really important just at this stage, before like I'll ask Sonny to kind of carry on when the first person pulled out in America. That if you're signing up for this, it's not hard. It's very, very simple to do. But those lottery tickets, what Ricky was talking about, you know, you've got them in your hand for somebody else. Like literally, that's it. And when you hear statistics like 2 out of 3 drop out at the point of donation, it really is a bit of a reality check, you know, for people. So when you've just found out the guy for the person in America's kind of like pulled out at that bit, you know, how did that sort of, what was the impact then in terms of like of your chances again?
That in terms of, well, because we was told obviously how difficult it is anyway, especially for you know, like South Asian people for of our background, it's even more difficult because there's less people on the register. The chances of finding a match, they say the most likely is going to be from people with the same kind of ethnic background. So that was crushing straight away, because obviously we're looking at the stats now, having a look at how many people are on the register, you know, compared to like Caucasian people, white people and whatnot. So then hearing someone's dropped out, it was demoralising, to be fair. And, you know, you kind of, I remember feeling like, oh, blaming yourself, thinking, I shouldn't have been like, as soon as we found out we got a match, you know, I'm telling like all the family, yeah, we got one, this and that, telling friends of mine. And then I felt like, oh, you know, when you feel like you're just opening your mouth too soon, maybe that's why it's happened. You start thinking all these things, don't you? And so whereas the next time we found out for Gaurav's donor now, we didn't mention anything for a couple of weeks first, because we thought, well, probably less than a couple of weeks, you know, until it was stonewall, till we had a date and right, this is what's happening, this is when he's coming in, until we had it all kind of confirmed. But yeah, so it's like you said, 2 out of 3 people dropping out. Bloody hell, that's massive. That is, you know, and like you're saying, you've actually got someone, you got not just a person's life in your hands, you've got a family's hope, you know, a circle of friends, that circle of who it's impacting, all their hopes and kind of the dream of, or what it is you want to call it, for everything to go right for them. It's in your hands if you've decided to join to the register. So yeah, you know, if you do join them, you got to be, you know, like you say, make sure you will see it through, because it's life changing. It is life and death. It ultimately is.
Ricky, so you know when you were going around, when you were going into changing rooms and showers and stuff like that, well, less of the showers. You know when you were. What was some of the questions that were coming to, you know, like especially young people, where they're asking you like, what's this all about?
You know what? Obviously, because my natural nature, you know,
He's a firefighter as well, by the way.
I'm on top of them, so you know, I'm kind of forcing their hand. I want to go back to the just a second, but to, you know, the two out of 3 people drop out, and just going back to my first experience back in 2009. Now, when I mean, I'm going to let you know, the journey of somebody that could drop out, because it could have been me. Yeah, I could have dropped out, you know, if it weren't for certain conversations that I had with people, especially with my mum's mate saying the lottery ticket. It kind of comes as a shock to you that you are a match. So you get a lot of people that will just do it because they get carried away with the idea of, yeah, don't, you know, I've given a swab and this, that, I'm part of something, but they don't really understand that there could be an actual match, if that makes sense. They like that journey because everyone's going somewhere, but when they become a match, you can almost get scared, yeah, and you don't really understand it. So rather than educating yourself, you kind of think the easy option is just opt out. You know, you don't lose anything and this, that, but what they don't understand is how much is lost on the other side by simply saying no. Unfortunately, that's someone's life. Yeah, and I don't think that goes into a lot of people's minds a lot when they probably do say no, because maybe it's the convenience of saying, "Oh, I don't want to go to London or Manchester to donate," or to start believing the myths. You know, no one's ever going to come out and say they chose to opt out, but Cindy's sorry. Let me get rid of that.
No, it's all right. We support farmers as well, don't we?
Yeah. So going back to the changing rooms, and I'm asking people. Some people did ask, "Oh, does it come out your hip?" And I said, "Look, yeah, you can put a kit on your blood between the tournament matches. That's how, honestly, that's how easy I felt the procedure was, right?" And I was trying to push that to these kids, but like I said, all of them were willing to go and do the swab, right? Because when you got a crowd of people doing something all at the same time, you just go along with it. It's only when you're in your own home when you start thinking, well, do I want to do it, do I not? But hopefully, when making podcasts like this, there's more media. There's so much more literature than when I did it in 2009. I still think it's hard. It should be hard to say no, right? And it comes. I hate to be broad, but it comes down to laziness as well. All the information is there now. You can get as much information as possible, but people choose not to research. They might research, how Kim Kardashian done her hair or how Ronaldo gets his abs. But if you're trying to donate your bone marrow because you've become a match, you're less likely to go and research that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. Just touching back on like my experience, it was kind of weird because me and my brother were a match for two separate people, I believe. And I think this is the impact of what Gaurav's situation, that he's responsible for saving so many of the lives because everyone signed up at that point. You know what I mean? So like it's unquantifiable of like the significance of what he's done. Yeah, and so yeah, me and my brother, we were like a match, and then I think the story of what they kind of said was like I was a match for somebody else, he was a match for somebody else, but they don't necessarily go down that road of the match because the person might have unfortunately passed away, or some of the other treatments might have worked. So I kind of went through it, and I was identified, and then they said that they needed to go and have the more intrusive procedure where they kind of like just extract it from your lower back. Um, and then like it's just from what Sonny was saying as well earlier about being on that ward. So, I'm jumping a lot of stages here where I had like blood tests that just checked me out, all simple, nice and easy. But I think when I got onto that ward and seeing all those children, and then you're just like, look, man, my DNA and my stem cell is a match for somebody across the world. I got told it was for a boy in America. They couldn't give me the details. And I think like you're just thinking, no matter how much of an idiot you are, no matter how much what you could be the biggest criminal or anything, you got you're a match for someone. It's your chance like to just kind of just do something well in your life and just do something. And I remember just having the procedure done and like yeah, they're literally just like they go in. Um, I think it was like 6 mini little holes, keyholes, just taken out. And the doctor come out and he looks at me and he goes, we took about 1.1 liters of bone marrow out. Yeah, so he goes, within 3 days, this is going to be in America in someone's. He goes, there's a motorbike there that's taking your stuff now. And I was like, okay. And then he goes, you got a job now. Because you've got a job to raise awareness and tell as many people as you can to sign up onto this stem cell. And I never thought about it that way because, like, I was like, I was a bit weird in terms of like how I felt. After it was really kind of a real kind of significant point. But it wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have signed up for it if you went for Gaurav. If you went for Gaurav, I wouldn't have gone down that kind of road. And then you just have this kind of duty really to kind of tell as many people as you can and get people to kind of sign up. So I mean I'll get to like did we speak to the person like, shortly, but like with Sonny, so like you found your match, and where was your match found?
So just quickly before that, like how Ricky was saying as well about how the information's out there and kind of all of us need to kind of step up this and that. But like you're saying earlier, if it doesn't happen to your your circle, whether it be family, friends within your circle, it's so easy to overlook the information. I remember before all this happened to Gaurav, I'm in the shop and oh man, I'll read a newspaper back to front. But when you come to an article of, let's say, a child or an adult or someone's got leukemia and bone marrow, you have a quick read and you skim over. And the next thing I know, I'm reading the sports pages in detail, and that's how it kind of used to be. So for me, it was like the information was always there before I got it, but I never paid attention to it, if you know what I mean. And I think that's just how we just are as people. I think just everyone generally is, as humans, we kind of, unless if something's happening in your circle, it's not as important, if you know what I mean, until it becomes important. So I never feel if someone doesn't join up or someone kind of hasn't took the information on board, I never kind of judge and think, oh, what you're doing, that's wrong. You messed up there, you're being selfish or whatever, because that was me as well. So it's just one of those. Sometimes it just takes everyone will find an understanding of things like this in their own time, and hopefully that comes sooner than later. But it took me till in my 30s till I got to that understanding. So it might take other people longer or less. It is what it is, isn't it? With that.
Yeah, I think people just have like different coping mechanisms when they do, they deal with kind of bad news. Then
the best thing we can do is like this, like what you're doing now, Ricky, with this podcast, and getting information out there. If the information's out there, eventually people are going to look, people are going to read, and people are going to listen. And do you know what I mean? At least the information's there, and that's the one good thing with social media and everything else. Yeah, it brings positive stuff out there.
I feel we're lucky though, because like obviously, I'm not saying it because he's just on there, but he's a very, very positive role model in terms of like loads of stuff that he gets involved in. And I think, fortunately, like it was a perfect storm. Like he was doing his stuff, Gaurav was there, and I think we got like an opportunity. Really, we know how many people in our own sphere of influence to kind of just keep promoting it and keep doing it again. And Ricky's had like a second chance to do it twice as well. So it's just not like,
it's amazing,
and that is. If that doesn't tell you about it, I don't know what about a person. Then I don't know what else can. So I'm going to ignore him. Yeah, I'm going to go back to. I'm going to go back to Sonny. So the guy is a match, and is he from Germany?
He's from Germany, yeah. So from Munich, Germany. We're still in touch now to this day. He's like a new addition to the family. He's we are family now.
So how did that conversation happen then? So like you get a phone call, he's a match. You then like sit down, you go through the procedure.
Yeah, so we was told when we found out we've got a match, this and that, we was told where the person's from. We was allowed to know the age of the person and if it's male or female. Stephanie's name is, but at the time that's all that we was allowed to know. And I think for 2 years, you can't have any more information than that. And what they were saying is, the reason why they do that, what the nurses told us, was because, for example, if you have Gaurav has a transplant, if you've already exchanged information with with the donor, let's say, God forbid, if something went wrong, I don't know, after however long, and they needed another transplant or they needed more stem cells from the person, you could obviously put them in a position maybe they don't want to be in. Whereas the doctors feel 2 years is a better timeline, where they feel like saying, everything's successful, they're confident, it's all going well, and kind of touch wood, this is the path you're on now, on kind of on a clear road ahead. And obviously we still have to go for checkups and everything else, but generally, yeah, we're in a very lucky position that things have worked for Gaurav and for us.
So they took the stem cells from Stefan at the time.
Yeah.
And then so what happened? Was it just like on a drip, just like infused into?
So yeah. So his procedure was the same as yours, through the hip, whatever. But for us, yeah. So it was like imagine like a bag of blood just hanging up. And so Gaurav's got he's got in his chest, he's got the ports in where, so obviously at the time we couldn't eat or anything either, so he's got 3 kind of tubes coming out of his chest, which are like used for all these medicines he needs, and the actual transplant as well being done. So it was like just kind of like a bag of blood hanging up, like kind of, when you see, I don't know, when you watch the movies and you see someone's got a kind of just a drip hanging off. It was like that, and then plugged into these ports into his chest, and kind of, I think it took probably about 30, 45 minutes. So we're just sitting there and just slowly, you're watching this bag slowly empty out and go into his body. And so basically what they say is what the whole piece, so these are obviously like the bone marrow transplant, these white blood cells are going into Gaurav. He had to have chemotherapy before it because he had to kind of completely kill his immune system off. Because they said what it ends up being like is like a battle of his old blood cells. So his immune system is going to see this new bone marrow coming into his body, and we're going to think like, hang on, what's that? You ain't meant to be here. This is my body. You ain't coming in. And so if they don't kill his immune system will fight the new bone marrow coming in and basically it off, and which means it fails. So he had to go through it was 7 days of intense chemotherapy, which pretty much just completely knocked him out. Like, which I imagine, as you expect, that was hard to see. That was kind of this painful kind of thing, and then it's just a case of making sure. So this fight of the new bone marrow and the blood cells coming into him, fighting with his old existing bone marrow and hoping the new ones win and kind of take over his body. Yeah, that's pretty much the way it was. And so if it doesn't take, it's because his immune system's kind of fought back. So that's what the chemotherapy was for, to completely kill off his immune system, to give the new bone marrow the best chance of kind of setting in. Because once that sets into his bone marrow, it will then start to reproduce blood cells.
How long does it take to see whether it's worked or not?
It was, so he'd had that done. You're looking at, it's still months as well. You're looking at, so he'd keep constantly being tested. He was in, so he had to stay in isolation for 3 months. So he's in a room. Him and my wife was basically, they had to stay at Children's Hospital. I was allowed to come in. Kieran, my daughter, she wasn't allowed to come in. So when we used to go down and visit, Kieran, at the time as well, Kieran's only young as well. She'd have to kind of sit outside looking through a glass door and kind of talking to her mom that way and stuff. And then on weekends, I'd stay at the hospital to let my wife come home and obviously spend time with Kieran as well. And so it was, it went just what it was about for us. It was tough on her as well. She had to grow up quick.
Yeah.
So it was, but it was, just kind of, I don't know, it's a surreal situation when you think back of it, kind of. But it's just, I don't know, I'm kind of losing my chain of thought thinking about it. Sends you back a bit.
I think what Rick was saying a bit earlier, like kind of like time. It's like how quick to do a swab, then you've got then to have it. How long was your blood like when they were taking out your blood, Rick?
What the
when they were taking
themselves? 4 hours, Hindi film.
I see, and then you got, and then obviously to have it put into some of it 40 minutes. It's like that is just unbelievable. Trying to kind of fathom of how you can change somebody's whole family life, everything, just in that one go. So like I want to take you to a conversation, Rick, and Sonny, when we were together and in at the Seat channel before, and I know that you managed to meet your donor at the time, Sonny, and I tried to. I remember raising the question with yourself, Rick, about how did you feel, or did you meet the person who you donated your stem cells to? And I won't go into the answer what you said. I just want to give you like your opinion of why you took the action you did.
Yeah, so mine went to Germany. Mine was from someone that was, all I was told, it was someone that was smaller than me, and it was going to Germany. I think it's about 2 years or something where they can get in contact with you, or you can get in contact with them. They asked, would you like to get in contact with them? And I declined. I said, no. I said, if they want to get in contact with me, that's fine. But I felt, after doing understanding and researching it, I just felt the journey must be so hard for these people. I don't want to be the person to kind of, I don't know, maybe I was looking at it all wrong. Like gloat and say, I'm the one, almost looking for some type of reward or some sort, for doing what I did. I felt the reward of just being above match was good enough for me. That was it, So I just felt if they ever want to get in contact with me, I'm completely happy with that. But I just felt it's their personal journeys. I can only imagine now, understanding more with Sonny, Gabriel, and Gaurav and his daughter, their emotional journey. It's so intense that I just felt right. I don't want to be involved in that unless they were happy to do so themselves. If that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, because I remember having that conversation with you, thinking like, I always had the surgeon's words in my ears, and it like, oh yeah, it's your responsibility to like, spread it around. So I thought, yeah, I want to meet him, and then I spoke to you, and I thought, something, Rick's right.
I'm never right, by the way.
No, I checked it with my mom as well. I had my wife, because she goes like, how you could sometimes take it to heart, and it didn't work. Like they know you better sometimes than you know yourself, and you'd be kicking yourself and going through that whole thing until like the person contacted me. And,
All right.
yeah, so I was okay. I think like a couple of years passed. I think even 3 years passed, and then I just got this random email just come through from like Anthony Nolan saying like, look, they want to kind of be in contact with you. Are you all right with it? And I kind of ummed and ahed. Yeah, no, I kind of ummed and ahed, and I just said, yeah, go on then. All right, that's fine. And so they said, like, can you just write your message? This is their message to you, which was like, they were just like, thanking me and stuff. And I just said, like, what can you say? Yeah, it's not a problem. Anytime.
Yeah.
anytime you want a bit of me, just say so. I think and that was it. And I just thought, like I built something up in my head until when I was put onto it, and then I just thought, I thought whether they were going to carry on the conversation. I think it just for me personally, it was like that closure kind of bit. And it was mad. It was a young Muslim boy, who got it. I think he was 14, maybe like 14, 15. And yeah, that was it. So it was, just going through that whole, the emotions, not as deep as what obviously I remember when Sonny had it. I think he's putting up pictures of having pizzas with Stefan on it. He put this big picture up, and I just thought, all right. And
I saw Sonny at Villa Park.
I was going to mention this. Yeah,
with his man.
Yeah, was he a Villa fan?
Yeah, that was January, just before the lockdown. And all
you can't have everything in it. You can't have everything.
No, they come down to UK. So obviously this was, when was this now? Last year or just just before the March?
Yeah, about
April,
18, 19 months.
Yeah. So before all this COVID stuff kicked off, and obviously we're well acquainted now, and we've met up. That was the second time they've come over here. We've been over to Munich already. So, like I said, we're like family, and they come over here, and there's like, look, want to come down, and I think there's quite a few football games on that day, and not that day, that week, and I took them. It was Villa Watford, wasn't it? That game was Villa Watford.
Yeah, that's it.
Took
Good
him,
game.
yeah, it was, yeah. Took him United Liverpool.
Did United
win? You're asking me. I doubt it's highly unlikely. Went to West Brom versus Stoke at West Brom. Went to it was Wolves. Wolves away, Liverpool was. And then pretty much we went to 4 games in 5 days. Oh man, I was absolutely battered at the end of that. I'm gonna say Villa, by the way. Yeah, what a cracking atmosphere that was.
It's the last.
I think they scored the last minute winner. Yeah.
Enough of that loving. So what? How was just the curiosity? How was Stefan when he saw Gaurav?
So
the first time.
The first time, yeah. So it was obviously first time very nerve-wracking. We went over to Munich for the first time, and so we kind of done a long weekend there, and straight away, oh, superb. I mean, you kind of saw them, obviously hug each other, and there was just kind of, thank you was never enough, and kind of told him that the words are just not enough, kind of thing. And he picked Gaurav up, and Gaurav's got autism. He's so he's like, he doesn't talk. He's communicating slightly different. He's a lot more actions than anything, and he's very cagey with new people. But it was kind of weird, like where Stefan picked him up and held him, and Gaurav was just kind of staring into his eyes and kind of just, we were taking photos, and he was like, he didn't try and push him off, didn't try. Where normally would you be like, kind of he'll want his own space. It's just the way he is, and he just kind of sat in Stefan's arms for ages, and he was like having those photos. So that was massively surprising, and kind of, he feels like it was meant to be.
Yeah,
and he's pushed
say?
him off plenty of times since then, like, but yeah. But yeah, he was kind of mad. Like, but what a guy he is though as well. Kind of, he does so much stuff for other charities and stuff. Well, I know he does a lot for the Heart Foundation in Germany, and this was actually the second time he'd donated as well. So so that was massive as well.
He's from a South Asian background, is that right?
No. So he's Caucasian. From a white background, and that was surprising because when we were told, obviously we got a match. I think it was about 6 months afterwards, after God had the bone marrow transplant. You can start. We was asked if you want to send a letter. So obviously, for the first 2 years, you can't obviously know any information. And so, long story short, we sent a letter and we exchanged letters for a while until we was allowed to kind of be asked after 2 years if you want to meet. So I've spent these 18 months or whatever, thinking, what am I going to say to him, this and that, and knowing he's from Germany, thinking, okay, he might not speak English, but I thought, the good thing is at least we can speak in Punjabi together. You know what I mean? So I've got ready to thinking, we've got a way of communicating. So when I found out, I think the wife Facebook kind of searched him and whatever when we got his name and stuff, and we showed him the photos. I was like, that can't be right. As mad as it sounds, yeah. I even contacted Gaurav specialist to find out. I was like, look, and Anthony Nolan. I was like, look, not being funny here, not that it's an issue. Yeah. I was like, it's ain't an issue. Like, at the end of the day, a life saves a life. I was like, but is this right? I was like, because I was expecting an Asian person, and so then I think Anthony Nolan then said, look, we'll find out for you. It's obviously right, but we'll try and get you some information. And they got some bone marrow specialist of some kind to kind of contact us, and he just kind of explained and said, look, chances of finding a match is normally within your own ethnic kind of background, and he goes, this can happen. He goes, it's very rare. He goes, because we don't see it often, and he goes, all I can really say to you is because it's just count your blessings as a miracle. He goes, because we don't see this happen much, but it's happened, and the fact it was 100% match. So it was like kind of, we already felt blessed to find someone, and then to be told this on top was like just, with someone's obviously looking over Gaurav, and it's kind of, sometimes I feel like it's, I don't know whether if it sounds a good thing or what to say, I don't know how, but sometimes I feel like, was he meant to go through all this pain? Because through this, there's 7 people we've know of and have kind of spoke and kind of got to know who have donated stem cells, and they registered because of Gaurav. So sometimes I think, has he gone through this because it's helped kind of save others, or find other people find their kind of their lifesaver? So Gaurav's played a part in that, and sometimes I think maybe he was meant to do that for others as well.
And that's just 7. That's just 7 you know of.
Yeah, that's just 7 we know of. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, there could be more, like you say, but that's just the ones we know of. Yeah, so it's it's huge. Like, and sometimes I think he's a lifesaver, and he doesn't know it himself. Don't know.
So, how is Gaurav now then?
In this situation, brilliant, perfectly superb. He still has meds and stuff. He has to have penicillin. That'll be for life. That's just kind of, to make so he has that daily to make sure obviously the transplant can't fail or kind of turn in the wrong way. He has a couple of other meds as well, but generally really good. So he's gone from, I think originally it was like monthly appointments, well it's fortnightly, I think first, then to monthly, 6 weekly, 6 months. Now it's like annually. So for his bone marrow checkup, we pretty much go in every 12 months, and then we go in hospital for other things like, but for that, so it's, we're in like probably the most perfect position we could be blessed for and to ask for, kind of thing. So we are very, very lucky.
That's really good to hear. Really, really good to hear. Ricky, so like in terms of like your activism, in terms of what you're doing to promote it, how does somebody get involved to kind of support that, and what have you done in particular to after your 2 donations?
I mean, I was lucky enough to join Sonny on some campaigns, whether it was on the C channel. We went to London as well. There was an event there that we did. I've done a few other campaigns. There was a girl called Anissa from Small Leaf, and they were trying to target the Muslim community. So I went on the Islam channel with them. There was some stuff that we did on TV. A lot of my stuff just being based around interviews. But you know what, Rick? There's some amazing people that volunteer on a day-to-day basis, and they're literally going out there day in, day out. I do probably 2% of what they do. Yeah, probably less than that. There's a guy called Robbie Chahal, there's Harkamal as well. They all belong to the DKMS. And these guys, man, there's more of them. I wish I could get their names out of my head, but I can't. But they do so much, and they volunteer, and they don't get paid for it. They just go out and they try and get as many people on the register as possible. And just like Gaurav has, he's found lifesavers. These guys, they just do it off their back, and I'm such in awe that they just do it. I've done it because I was just exposed to it at a certain time of my life. I don't think these guys are there. I think they're just like Superman around us without the capes on. Like they're just going out, just doing the promoting. So yeah, I do a bit of promotions here and there, but my God, there's some people out there. Whether Anti Nolan, whether the Rick Basras, whether it be the Harkamo. I'm trying to think the society. Is it they got DKMS? The guys in Hitchin and all that as well. They do some brilliant campaigns.
Just Cornwall Foundation.
Just Cornwall, that's it. There's so many, and they're just doing it off their own back, and I'm like, wow, it's incredible, man. It's that Seva, Seva, they're just doing it, and they don't ask for any reward. They don't want anything from anybody. All they ask is just get on the register. But it's incredible, man. I can't speak highly enough.
So there is a criteria, though, isn't there, between the two the main charities? So to donate, to sign up for Anti Nolan, what are the age groups that you have to be?
So Anti Nolan is 16 to 30, and DKMS is slightly larger. It's 16 to 65. Now I'll tell you the reason why that is. DKMS is a German-based charity, whereas
it's 17 to 55 DKMS.
That's it. Sorry, yeah.
So yeah.
With DKMS, with Anti-Nolan, they concentrate on that 16 to 30 simply because that you get a better rate. You get more likely to get 100% rate from those, more so than the extended rate of the DKMS. But you know what's interesting? I want to bring this point up because Gaurav found his match in Germany. Germany is mandatory to join the register. Like when they come out of college, they simply say you join the register. I don't know whether they can say yes or no, But it's there and then, whether it be at college or wherever they are, they join register. That doesn't exist here. And I just think even the government need to be a bit more proactive on stuff like this, where they give the kids the option of, whether to donate something, or, join a blood stem cells, like anti-Nolan or DKMS. But yeah, man, they just need to follow Germany's footsteps a bit on that.
So is there a way, Sonny, that there's a possibility of kind of lobbying and getting that kind of mandatory?
Yeah, so Anthony Nolan have tried to start something similar where they go into colleges and try and do a talk and try and explain. Because like Ricky was saying, they do 16 to 30-year-olds, where DKMS is 17 to 55. I think a lot of that as well is because they say, especially with males, between the ages of 16 to 30, your whether if the words are correct, but your bone marrow is at its peak, is at its best, kind of, and a lot of that's due to that. But yeah, it's with Anthony Nolan. It was called, I think it was R&B. I need to have a look. But basically, they go into colleges, do a talk, and what it was, they don't sign you up there and then, whereas in Germany, like Ricky said, they actually sign you up. So as you're finishing school, or when you come into the age of you're eligible to sign, they get you signed up. Whereas here they don't, but they do a talk and they leave you with information to give you a bit of an update. Like, this is what it is, this is what it's about, and then if you want to sign up, you can. And it's like that. So they are trying to encourage something along the same routes. But yeah, I'd love to see a stage where, like Ricky's saying, about it being kind of like a mandatory type thing, or where you're on and you can actually opt out. That'd be massive. But is that ever going to happen? I don't know.
I think they've done it with the donor
with blood, haven't they?
Yeah. Also,
organ
donor,
donation.
Organ donor. I should know that. I'm bloody ran the campaign. I'll edit that bit. Yeah, I mean, so in terms of trying to be more proactive, because those that age group. So if you're getting more and more, we're becoming more kind of more health conscious and stuff. Do you think then we're able to push it in another direction? Is there another way? As social media is growing more and more now, we've managed to get some ambassadors in for this whole movement. Have they tried to lend their support and making more awareness?
In what sense? What do you mean? Sorry.
So I mean, like. I remember at the time for your campaign, you had a couple of footballers were tweeting it out and just there was a huge campaign. Did they have come up with any suggestions to you of making the awareness bigger?
To be honest, not really. Kind of, I think what all you guys done for us was, I think we probably, without sounding arrogant, was probably exceeding a lot of expectations anyway, because what like say you guys and everyone else, all the volunteers, like who Ricky mentioned, and that Robbie and the guys who work with him, Harkamal and everyone, what they do. But yeah, in terms of like kind of popular figures, whether it be like someone on a celebrity type of stage. Yeah, Jan done loads, to be fair, and Jan was still young at the time. He was still playing youth football, and his maturity is like way beyond his years. But it's more in terms of, I seem to find if someone's within a circle and they know someone from a celebrity type of status, then they help. It'd be great if more of them pushed it. Like there's that, I forgot his name now. He's massive with DKMS now. He does a lot. He's like that pub landlord on a comedy show. Do you know what I'm on about? With the bald guy. Yeah. And he's done loads. I think it was a family member of his who needed a bone marrow transplant, and he's. I hope you're finding his name there.
I am, man.
I actually used to watch some of his shows.
We got to get it right. And what's his name?
Quite funny, yeah.
Oh God, I thought I had his name. I should know it because he was
pub
comedy show. He was a pub landlord. As soon as you say the name of the show, I'll remember. It was quite a good show. But he does a lot right now, which is good to see. And we need more people like that. Al Murray. Yeah, and we need more people like that. Like Al Murray's like massively kind of spoken now within trying to get people on the register and kind of, you know, making people aware of DKMS and stuff. And the more people who can do that, the better, really. Especially those who've got a standing of where, you know, people look up to them and they have a high following, whether it be like social media or whatever.
It's I kind of bring in Ricky on this bit as well. So he's also Ricky's also part of Punjabi Villains, and I know that they do quite a lot of work in like in some of the charity bit. I know that they've been involved in this as well, you know, in some way, shape, or form. What was the impact of when when you were highlighting these causes?
What this one in particular?
Yeah,
yeah. We all thing is, Punjabi Villains now is bigger now than it was when back in 2012. But even in 2012, you know, we were quite hot on our social media, you know, more so Twitter than Instagrams and the Facebooks. But yeah, you know, we try and push it out as far and wide as possible. Just and again, everything has always been quite receptive. Yeah, very rarely did I see anybody have anything to say. But then sometimes when not everyone's too receptive, you want to try and encourage conversation. You want to try and knock out these myths. So some of the myths that people used to come out with. I mean, I had this when I was helping Anisa. So I went to Anisa, and her granddad was an imam in the mosque in Small Heath, and the thought was that correct. I mean, I could be corrected if I'm completely wrong. That, you know, in Islam you can't lose something from your body that you can't get back, like, you know, like a kidney or something or whatever. You just can't, you know, that body that belongs to your body. Whereas white blood cells is what you're donating here with bone marrow. If your body naturally replenishes itself. So, you know, Sonny touched on it before, where the old blood cells and the new blood cells will be fighting each other because one's already working and another one's getting in there. Whereas what that means is, like, you know, your body naturally, if it loses something, it just naturally knows how to build it up again. It's just like your natural, your normal blood. If you lose a bit of blood, you know, like from your hand, it's not going to do anything. So it's just trying to knock these myths out, and, like, you know, again with that it comes out your hip and you can't, you know, you're bedridden for a while, or, you know, or you could die from it. You know, you donate and that's it. Yes, you're gone forever. It's trying to knock these myths out of the park, and that's the biggest issue, really. I mean, everyone's always going to be warm and receptive, but no one really wants to ask the difficult questions, because they just think, well, it's never going to be me, you know, until it is then.
Yeah, I think South Asian populations and health and myths are just so deeply entwined at the moment. Not at the moment, but historically. I think that's just a great challenge that we kind of got to face. I'm gonna kind of like bring it all together really on this piece. So this is called a bandwagon, and there's an opportunity for you to kind of express anything that you want to get off your chest to that. But this time I'm going to try and get it more focused onto the subject matter. Is there anything that you want to kind of, you know, your lasting messages that you want to kind of convey out to people who are listening or watching?
I can start if you like. I mean, we've just heard Sonny's story with Gaurav and the journey of with his family, and, you know, I've got to know Sonny over time, and, like, great goalkeeper. I'm still trying to sign him now, but great, lovely family, and every time he tells a story, I still learn more from it, right? And there's still something that I think, wow, I didn't know that. And, you know, that can happen to any family, yeah, whether it be at someone close to us or another small family, you know, on the other side of the country, or even some other side of the world. You know, we need to be getting together and, like, being responsible for not just ourselves but for the wider community. So whenever you hear of these type of situations, just learn about it and just see how you can help in the smallest way possible. And by just reaching out and just like doing a swab, like just joining a register. If you are a match, hopefully you can reach out to any of us. I know Sonny's not so hot on social media, but you are, Ricky, and so am I, that they can just DM us and say, look, we're not, what happens? Will I lose something? Is it hard? Is it difficult? Will I be in any pain? I just want people to be so open about asking questions that we kind of knock out the idea of anyone opting out at all.
Yeah, definitely. No, well said there, Sonny.
When Gaurav was in hospital at the time, do you remember early on when I touched on when we was told about his condition, monosomy 7, and we kind of had to go straight to the last resort, being a bone marrow transplant. So when we was in, not everyone's so lucky. He's basically going to say there's obviously a lot of different forms of leukemia, a lot of different forms of blood cancer. There was another child in there, Indian child as well. He was 6 or 7 years old, and he had the same condition as Gaurav, and same. So he had leukemia. He had chemotherapy trying to beat it, and that didn't work. The chemotherapy. So then he's having a bone marrow transplant. He didn't find a match, but his dad, similar like to us, was a 50% match to him. So they done the transplant that way. We was in hospital at the same time. Everything looked like it was working, and then I think so many months later. Anyway, unfortunately, that family weren't quite as lucky as we were. So basically, what I want to try and say is that not everyone has a kind of a happy ending in terms of, or a happy kind of story to follow on like we have now to be in a lucky place. But so many more people can, like not only just more people joining the bone marrow register, but more people knowing about it, knowing the information, and actually following through, and then doing the donation for that kind of, it's not a simple procedure. It's still tough on you guys, but imagine how tough it is for the people on the other side. Like, we're so lucky to be where we are, but this one kid and his family weren't so lucky. That was the difference between we found a match and they didn't, and they had to go with a 50% match. So it's, imagine if everyone was joining on the register. We'd hear more success stories than we would hear the other way, or we'd hear a lot less of stories of where it's not working. So it's, we know firsthand what it can do for us. Kind of, sometimes I actually forget, even now, sometimes I forget the time we spent in children's hospital and what it was like. And because you kind of get so wrapped in having a normal life, and we've only got a normal life because of Stefan and people who joined the register and people who helped us. Without that, our life was going to be a different kind of normal. I won't wish on anybody. So if people did join, just you can give everyone else a normal life the way we've been given ours, and that shouldn't be that should be a given for everyone, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I can add anything more to that. It is such a powerful thing that somebody can do. It's a simple stage of signing up, joining the register, and and you could be fortunate, you could be lucky to save somebody's life for doing virtually nothing. So I really need to thank both of you today. I know it's been quite intense at times. And
can I just give you a quick fun fact as well? I don't know if you guys know this or if anyone else as well. So, with Gaurav's, so when he had the bone marrow transplant, so Gaurav now, his blood type is no longer the blood type he used to have. His blood type is now the same as Stefan's. He's got Stefan's blood type. So that's a fun fact for anyone who donates. Whoever's your recipient, they're going to have your blood type.
All right.
It's crazy.
There you go. Yeah.
That is mad.
Yeah.
And look at the wonders of what the body can actually do as well. And it's it's just crazy. It's crazy. All right, I'm gonna have to close it there, otherwise it's just too intense. But no, I really need to thank both of you for today. Really appreciate it. And for those who are watching, listening, just please take your time out, just do a little bit of research, and just sign up and join up where you can. Thanks, guys. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.